News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Welcome to the Tool Talk Radio Time Warp. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning.
I'm Allan Gilbreth with Allan Gilbreth Spices, AllanSpices.com.
And I'm Maximilian. And before we address the elephant in the room, Joe, you'd like this holiday.
Talk to me.
Happy Wave All Your Fingers at Your Neighbor Day. Not just you-know-what finger.
I like how they specify that. So, okay.
All your fingers.
All your fingers.
At your neighbor.
Okay. All right. So this is supposed to, encourage brotherhood and friendship and everything like that, Max?
As opposed to the usual gesture that you would give your neighbor.
Okay. All right. Well, folks, it sounds a little different to, this is the actual show. Today is February 7th, 2026. And Max, you had some car issues, and luckily you don't live that far away, so I had to run over and get you at the last second, whatever. So, folks, we're here. We're just kicking off. So, yeah. It's a little odd because Allan was already getting text messages from frantic listeners going, where are you guys? So, all right. Anyway, we're a little discombobulated, but we're here and we're ready to go. So, we're just going to start. We're going to start fresh here, Allan. So, in great moments in building history, this is interesting, Allan. Mohenjo Daro, I think I pronounced that right.
Mohenjo Daro.
Built in India, built in 2500 BC. It's what an amazingly advanced civilization. We're gonna take a look at this place, and also there's a lot of mystery around this particular settlement and everything. So, in Tool Tales, I'm calling this accidental perfection. Allan, have you ever just stumbled onto something and it was like destiny that I don't know. I had a tool tale this week that was just, it started out frustrating and it turned into one of the best experiences I've had in a long time. So
a eureka moment?
Yeah. Well, it was just sort of like finding a hidden treasure. So anyway.
Well, yeah, there have been one or two jobs where it started out one way and then suddenly halfway through it went,
yeah.
Oh, this is what you want. And then turns easy.
Well, this was something just finding whatever. It was like an Indiana Jones moment in the big box store. So, but in Allan's now 3 weeks in review, we have to get to this because, we didn't get to it. But no demo Reno.
Yep.
Okay. Renovate. I think I can guess what that's all about. So, and let's see, what else do I want? I'm not going to tease anything else. I have a cosmic homeowner story if we get to it, but I'm not sure. But also, we would love to hear from you, folks. You can call or text us at 901-683-0989 if you want to chime in on Wave All Your Fingers at your neighbor's day.
I have a proposal. In the spirit of brotherhood between your neighbors, I'd love to hear your texts on fun projects you've done in cooperation with your neighbor.
Yeah. Or, well, let's open the whole thing up, Max. How about also, maybe tools that your neighbor hasn't returned to you or things like that. I don't know. But
what's the common tool that your neighbor borrows that you never get returned back?
Yeah. So, but anyway, okay. But before we get to any of those things, let's get to our must-have item of the week, which actually I haven't posted yet because I was busy running and picking Max up, but this is not a complicated thing. So, all right, Allan, tell people what we've got here.
You have, and I'm going to give its full name, Water Displacement Formula 40.
Right.
The indispensable, the undescribable, and the we cannot exist as a civilization without it lubricant.
And the often misused lubricant, I'm going to say.
We'll just say it has a variety of uses not espoused on the can.
Exactly.
Is it inappropriate for me to use it as a means of lubricating my knife?
Well, that's
no, that's fine. That's water displacement. But we're talking about like on your knees for arthritis.
Oh,
right. Well, with WD40, I have to say, I don't know if it's more environmentally friendly. It probably isn't, but they've improved the spray nozzle. You know how now they have it like it retracts, it folds down, and then it opens. And with that long, because before, you know how it was, you take that little red spray nozzle and then you stick it in there and whatever. Sometimes it flies out or whatever. But the reason I was saying the often misused, well, as a kid back in my day, Max, we used to have to do all of our own bicycle repairs and stuff. I learned how to fix my bike when I was like 8 or 9 years old. We would take the whole thing apart. And I remember when I was young and inexperienced using WD-40 for everything, but it's not a fix-all for everything. Like there's some things where you actually need grease or oil or whatever. You know what I mean?
It's not a durable.
Yeah.
AKA, it's not a white grease. It's not a something that's going to get in there and stay.
You don't use it for like ball bearings and stuff like that.
Right.
That's
it's
grease
not a packing. Right. It's not an
right.
actual grease. What it is basically is a mineral spirit that is similar to kerosene.
Mm-hmm.
And what it does really, really well is replace water.
I don't. Okay. That's what I don't get. It's interesting that they call it that, but.
Well, it is actually what it is designed to do. It is designed to penetrate in, and because it is a thinner molecule, it gets into the spaces and thus provides something other than rust-inducing chemicals.
Okay.
So that is the whole idea behind a WD Formula 40.
So instead of a little water molecule that could
that is
deteriorate,
bonding with that little iron molecule and trying to hold on,
it's shoving it out of the way and saying,
we basically shoved hexene in there.
Okay.
And that is what actually does it. Because of the fact that WD-40 does so many strange things. One, you can clean with it.
Bingo. I was good. Yeah.
I have used WD-40 to get bubble gum out of everything.
Right.
But, I finally had to kind of go, all right, what is this stuff? Because somebody told me a million years ago, well, it's made out of fish oil. And no, it's not. It's made out of hexene, which is really similar. Just basically, chemically, it's similar to kerosene.
Right. Okay.
It's more stable. And we use some type of petroleum gas and carbon dioxide to propellant. So, the whole idea behind WD-40 is it was really designed for a really specific purpose.
Yeah.
And that was to displace water molecules.
Okay. Well,
which is what makes it so useful for 8,000 uses.
Well, the reason I brought it in is because I saw, I saw an actual video, Alan. This wasn't some AI generated. This was a guy, and it was a WD-40 hack. And I said, okay, this one I like, and I want to run this by Alan before I do it. But he was showing, it was all about preserving your windshield wipers. He said, I have a trick that I use for my windshield wipers, and they work great. Because, sometimes even if you have a set of wipers that are not that old, you start, they go back and forth and they leave streaks or they have those little gaps. Well, what he does is he takes an old cloth. He usually says, my favorite thing is to take like an old sock or something, and you soak part of it with the WD-40, and he uses it to clean the wipers. So it takes 30 seconds. He wipes it off because we don't often think about it, but think of what's on your wipers. You have tree sap, road tar, everything, all this, and plus they're going to get dry and brittle in the sun. He said it works great. And I'm like, okay, this is a hack I think I'm going to try out, man. And it cleans all the gunk off, and then it leaves this thin layer of lubrication on there. And it kind of I don't know. It looks cool to me. And then he said if you really want the ultimate experience, then you go to the auto parts store and you get that clean, that stuff you can spray on your windshield and really clean it up nice, and the water beads and all that. So I think that's going to be one of my projects as soon as it warms up here. So, well,
of other hacks, since we just got through having, ice and snowmageddon for the last 3 weeks.
Right.
Of a spring cleaning trick of take the key to your doorknob.
Yeah.
Put the little nozzle in the actual keyhole, give it a quick little shot, take your key, and now push it in and out, in and out, in and out several times, then wipe the key off, because when it comes out, it's going to be covered in metal dust.
Oh, very good. Because, I spray it in the key thing, but I never think to put my key in there afterwards.
Well, you got to run the key back and forth a few times just to make sure you got it all the way through the mechanism. And what that will do is also loosen up and begin to remove the little tiny, really fine metal shavings that build up inside of your lock as you use the key and lock.
There you go.
So if you have also displaced the water, guess what doesn't freeze?
Oh, it's interesting because our deadbolt on the side door has been much more sticky lately.
I
this
promise you give that thing a shot of WD-40, work the key in it a couple of times, wipe it down. It will magically give you another 5 years of use out of that lock.
There you go. So, and it's cheap, and it's some. Yeah, this is another one. Sometimes there's things that are more specialized. This one is definitely a no-brainer. Everybody should have their can of WD-40. So, and it's not the magic fix, but it's amazing what it actually does fix. So, yeah. All right. Well, Allan, when we come back, I have a tool tale that I wanted to share. If I have time, I'm going to post it on the Facebook page. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Yeah, I probably won't be able to get the parts I need for 2-3 weeks, and that's if I order them today, which I won't.
Damn.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, everybody.
Sounds like a neighbor I want to wave one particular finger at.
Yeah, no kidding. I think we're going to get more of those stories, Max. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from Allan Spices over at allanspices.com, and our pal Max over there behind the glass. You can call or text us at 901-683-0989. Especially if you want to celebrate Wave All Your Fingers Day, or at your neighbor's day. Weird way of stating something, but I guess they wanted to be more specific of not waving one particular finger. Well, you could wait. Now, your thumb isn't a finger, Allan. You could give your neighbor a thumbs up, right? That's a positive thing to do. Yeah, sure. Okay. Yeah. And before I know somebody already texted in about that, Max. Before we do, I want to publicly call Max out, and you dropped the ball last week, sir. And I want to tell right after we got off the air.
Oh, yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Well, I'm just going to say this, Allan. Last week was National Gorilla Suit Day, and I was trying to drum up interest in this. And I mean, I don't even know. I think maybe we got one or two texts about it. But you, after the show was over, you pointed out a couple of gorilla suit stories. And I'm like, why didn't you talk about burying the lead? And I just want to say there was a very famous gorilla suit episode, Allan, involving a man that's very important to me. His name's Theo Epstein. He was the general manager of the Cubs back, and he's the one that brought us helped bring the World Series victory to us. Well, he didn't want to talk to reporters, so he put on a gorilla suit and walked right past them and escaped and got to his car and was able to get out of the stadium without having to answer a bunch of questions with reporters. I thought that was pretty darn good.
That's
man.
when he was with another team, though.
Well, he's with the Red Sox. That's okay. I like his thinking there. And then the other one was the famous Gorillagram service. Have you ever sent one of those, Allan? You can send a singing telegram of a person dressed as a gorilla and all that. So Max, if there's anything like that going on in Wave All Your Fingers Day, don't wait till the show's over to tell us about it, please.
There's nothing interesting other than, okay, this is the origin of the wave. It was like knights showing a way that they come in peace, or, it was originally a military gesture before it was, a regular gesture. And then I was also expecting you to say that I buried the lead because, yes, last week was Scotch Tape Day.
Yeah, and I mean, okay, we could have got some mileage out of that. But
you told me that you wanted to stick to just one thing, and so I stuck to my guns.
All right. Well, anyway, you said somebody already texted in about wave all your fingers at your neighbor day?
Well, they talked about a good manner of with your neighbor. They said, when living in New Orleans, this is Agent 732, by the way, when living in New Orleans after a hurricane, the neighbors all came out and helped clean up fallen limbs and shared a generator until power came back.
Okay. Were they waving hands at everybody?
No,
well,
I meant in
they
terms of
came together and did something as a community.
Oh, I see. Because, we wanted to hear about positive community.
Absolutely.
That's
positive
the stuff
things.
we like to hear.
So basically what you're trying to say is this is Wilson the Neighbor Day.
Exactly.
Oh, gosh. If you could get a neighbor imagine having a neighbor like him. That would be the guy can fix any problem. He answers free therapy.
All you had to do was just cultivate the right relationships.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, there's more there. Yeah. So if anything good to say about neighborly cooperation would be good.
I will throw in my own little story from Snowmageddon. A young man that lives down the street from me noticed me out there with an appropriate shovel for getting rid of ice, not a snow shovel.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah, the snow shovel one.
the snow shovel's got a not. All it did was skip off the surface. But I'm
Right.
out there with a good loading shovel, and I got back in the house. And about 30 minutes later, I got the little tap, 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 tap. And so I went and answered the door. And I love the right at that tween age when you're just embarrassed to talk to anybody.
Oh yeah.
And bless his little heart, he's we saw you using that shovel. Can we like borrow that? Yeah, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
So, yep. And next thing I saw, he was down there and he pulled, I think, the perfect Mark Twain. I think he convinced all of his friends how much fun it was to use that shovel.
It was interesting though, because this snow was weird. It got all packed down and you had like
Yep.
4 inches of ice. And the thing is, if you go underneath it, I guess people discovered this as you were doing. If you got underneath it with a really heavy shovel and you popped it out, it like a whole big chunk of it broke
They
out.
were.
They were having fun with that.
They were out there having little ice hockey, and I was like, yeah, but you know what? You're getting that driveway cleared.
It's still getting cleared off.
They had fun. My shovel survived, but it was really nice to see the young man come, be very so polite, and ask. And
Yeah.
I was more than happy to let him have at it and go have a good time and clean up the driveway.
Well, actually, as long as we're sharing these stories, I don't remember if this was in I don't know, it was somewhere up north, and one guy, he just rented a what do you call those things you can like if you got a bunch of mulch and you want to use the little driving what is that called? It's like a front loader type.
What a skiff loader?
Skiff loader.
Yeah.
He went and rented one, and he just plowed out all of his whole neighborhood. Didn't ask for any money. He was just doing it. He's like, I'm clearing the neighborhood.
Yep.
Took care of business. So there's a lot of stories like that. So yeah, that's actually good, especially in this day and age. Good neighborly stories. So okay, so that's on the table all day. But let's shift gears, Max.
And now, Tool Tales with Tool Talk Radio.
I was just starting to post this when we came. I'll try to post a thing. But Allan, I sent you a picture of this.
Okay.
So,
yeah, you did. You did indeed.
okay, so I'm building. The thing is, I think you and I talk about this. You know how there's that tool, you don't use it for like 5 years, and then all of a sudden you need it like five. All of a sudden, now every job you're doing for the next 2 months, you need it. It's one of those things. And so there's sometimes where there's things, I don't even remember the last time I needed to do this, but basically I built some built-in, like my customer has a walk-in closet in their master bedroom. And so I gutted the whole thing and built custom cabinets and adjustable shelves and whatever, floor to ceiling. So there's a ton of storage now. And, but basically, with the adjustable shelves, I was doing the whole thing of where, you know how you have the holes that go all the way up and you have pegs that basically adjust it. Well, there's a lot of shelves in here. I didn't do the math, but I probably had to drill 500 holes to do this. So, you know how they have a template for this? They have it's like a jig, and I want to say there's about 8, if I remember correctly, there's about 8 holes on this jig. And so you put it on there, and folks, I'm sure you've seen it. If you look at an adjustable shelf where it's just it's got the holes and then you take the peg out and all that. So with that, of course, the important thing is everything has to be level, everything has to be straight, everything has to be spaced correctly, or it's going to look terrible, but it's also not going to function right. So you need something with and you can't just use a piece of wood. Like you could make your own template with holes made of wood, but then the problem with that is that stuff wears out, especially, and the holes will start being crooked and everything. So I wanted a template.
Right.
And when I Googled it, which just goes to show you can't trust the stupid internet, but it said that the big box store near my house had one in stock. I'm like, okay, I'll run over and get it. Of course, they didn't have it.
Right.
So I started looking around the store because I was you know how this is. Sometimes you're like, you know what? Maybe there's not the ideal thing, but maybe there's something close enough.
Okay.
And I started looking, and my instinct told me to go over to the aisle. You know the aisle I'm talking about, but it's the one with all the cabinet hardware, like the handles and the knobs and then the little whatever. Well, there was also this thing that we know what pegboards are, like pegboards for your garage. Well, the thing with pegboards is instead of just getting a big sheet of plywood that's got all the holes pre-drilled, you can also get the little components that are added on. Well, I found a 16-inch by 16-inch pegboard insert. It was made of metal. And I'm like, holy smokes. The holes were a 1/4 inch. They were spaced perfectly, and it's square. I'm assuming that when they manufacture these things, these are perfectly square.
Yep.
And lo and behold, Alan, this thing was the best. This is the best template I ever had. For one thing, the jig that I was going to buy was $40. This one was $12.
Right.
So I bought this, and I'll post a picture. But basically, what I did is it's got holes where you could set the. I mean, it worked great. Basically, I started at the bottom. I drilled the holes where I wanted them, and then as I went up, I took 2 1/4-inch drill bits and put the back end in to hold the jig in place. And these are some of the best holes I've ever drilled. Because the thing is, with a metal, with it being a thicker metal, it kind of guides the drill bit in, and this thing is perfectly straight, perfectly lined up, perfectly level. And I was like, okay. This is a hack I want to share, because if you ever have to do something like this thing worked great, man.
Well, that is usually one of the things that kills people from doing like part of their own cabinetry, and that is actually getting the lineup correct.
If you rush through that, man,
it's not going to work.
It's not going to work.
It's never going to work.
Yeah.
You're going to end up hiring somebody to come back, and they take one look at what you did and kind of go, all right, now we got to tear all this out.
Right.
And then we got to start over. When you have the proper hack, whatever you want to call it, jig, hack, somebody goes, hey, let me show you how to get away from doing it the painful way.
Right.
And this just goes so much easier, so much faster.
Yeah. And it's like I was calling this accidental perfection, because I'm like, this thing works better than the jig that I was going to pay. And I save myself $30 too. So it's like, I would bet that there's a lot of contractors out there that probably have their own little maybe they're unorthodox, but it just works better. You found the solution that works for you. So,
well, there is a 11.5-inch tall wooden block in my collection that I use for making sure shelves are the right space.
There you go.
Stick that in there and doop.
So
if you
got any good hacks too, throw that. Well, we'd love to hear from you about that too. So, all right, Alan, we are way behind on this. We're going to finally get to Alan's 3 weeks in review when we come back here on Tool Talk Radio.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
There's something about an underdog that really inspires the unexceptional.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
And welcome back. Welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, everybody.
This is why I got to be careful how soon I turn on the mics.
Yeah. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from Allan Spices over at allanspices.com, and our pal Max over there behind the glass. You can call or text us at 901-683-0989, especially if you want to talk about a nice story with your neighbors, because today is Wave All Your Fingers at Your Neighbor's Day, a very odd way of stating it, but I guess we see where they're going with that. Don't wave just one finger at your neighbor. So, and I'm wondering, Max, it's interesting. We were talking about this briefly off the air, but like that little snippet that came on before the commercial about how the sandwich was invented. It's interesting because sandwich does sound like a good name, that it was named after Earl of Sandwich. But what if like Thomas Crapper invented this, make me I don't know, Alan.
Yeah,
so it's like, it's a good thing
from that.
It's a good thing we had a guy with a appetizing last name invent the sandwich. So it's just, branding is everything, as we said, but anyway, Alan doesn't want to get near that one. Let's shift gears, you guys. Speaking of horrifying.
Oh, the humanity.
All right, Alan, we're 3 weeks overdue. Well, in fairness, 1 week we weren't here, but
that's true.
It's Alan's week in review, and I can't even imagine. You must have a backlog here.
But I'm going to go with the words aging in place, because I've heard those a lot for the last 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And it's from, I find it very strange that I'm the same age as old people.
Yeah, I keep hearing that. It's weird when you see people's birth dates and you're like, wait, I'm older than that person. It's very odd.
I look at that and I kind of go, wow, they're already dead. Oh, that's kind of scary.
Yep.
All right, but That brings me to the no demo reno. All right. So, and here's basically how it's going to play. And I'm going to advocate this heavily for spring. And if you want advice on this, come see Joe and I next week. You got us for 3 days at the Agri Center.
Oh, yeah.
Live. So if you want to talk about no demo renos, come see us. All right.
Yeah, we're going to be at the home show of the Mid-South, and Allan's going to bring his spices, too.
I
right?
am.
You're going to autograph them, Allan?
Absolutely.
Allan will have his Sharp.
Absolutely. I have a Sharpie on me all the time.
You know what? It is kind of fun, though, to be able to do. Hey, that's something you can proudly sign your name to because those spices are really good. I mean,
I'm having a great deal of fun with that. So,
sorry, I'm not interrupting, but I do want to say I used some of your steak spice in. I had tuna and broccoli. I know it sounds crazy. I mix it together. I put a tiny bit of dressing in there.
Yeah.
And I stuck the steaks. Man, it's good.
Oh,
it was unconventional, but anyway.
Well, it's a good place to be. Well,
okay,
unconventional is the perfect word, Joe. Of the no demo reno, here's what I'm going to advocate. It's going to be spring cleaning here in no time at all. I know we just got through with 3 weeks of snow and ice, but you know what?
Yeah.
It's going to be March in just a couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So here's my advocation. Take everything out of a room.
Oh.
Clean the room. I mean, when we talk about cleaning something, I mean clean out the room. Take everything out of it. And then I'm going to throw in my favorite phrase, admit your lifestyle because it's changed since you set up that room.
Boy, go ahead, because it's funny. You and I had a similar. I'm sorry. I'm just going to say because I just told you that literally I was rebuilding my customer's walk-in closet. She took everything out. Literally, it's gutted, and she goes, and I'm like, well, I want to see pictures when you put it back together. She goes, yeah, I got to really think about it because half this stuff probably isn't going back in.
Exactly.
But she was forced to do it because it's all out of the closet now. So.
I'm going to say, take that room, take whatever room it is. Well, a friend of mine is going through this right now. After raising a passel of children in this house, all the little darlings are now loose upon humanity, and now it's time to do something with the house.
Yeah.
And you know, basically it came down to, we were standing there looking at it, and I said, just take everything out of the room. You cannot see because of the legacy.
And once it's empty and clean, you're going to really be motivated.
Because this is where we used to do this. This is where we used to do that. This is where, you know what? Get it all out of here. Completely clear this room out and put the room back together based on how you want to use it.
So in other words, sentimentality is the enemy. Just like water is the enemy.
Sentimentality is a picture with a frame somewhere. It has nothing to do with how you live today. And I will take in point. They had a 30-year-old television sitting there in the corner of this room, and that thing was 2 feet deep, weighed 80 pounds, was absolutely massive. And today, for practically no money, you can go down to your local big store, and you can get a monstrous television for very, very little money compared to what it is.
You can get a smart TV for $200.
Easy.
And it weighs 4 pounds, and you can hang it on your wall.
And
so,
exactly. So, I mean, so you really have to kind of go, all right, we need to rethink this room. Because now, Max, you brought up lighting from theater and all that a couple of weeks ago. How do you want to use this room? Because lighting has completely changed. Ceiling fans, completely changed. That 1970s behemoth you got hanging there can now be a ceiling hugger that produces 3 times the light. You can work with a remote control, and it's still a ceiling fan.
Yeah. Yep.
So, and the best part is that cost an eighth of what that monster that's still hanging up there cost.
Yeah.
So the no demo reno is really, honestly, if you'll take everything out of a room, clean it, go ahead and paint it. You never liked that color anyway. You always hated the duckies on the wallpaper or whatever. When you put the room back together, it is honestly a renovation.
Yeah.
Because the couch doesn't need to go there anymore because you don't have 8 kids sitting in it. Or you now have grandkids. So maybe we need to elevate a few things. We don't have that dog anymore. What we have now is a potbelly pig. Or we have, honestly, people's lives change that much every 7 years.
Well, when you said to empty the room, I think that was good advice because it's like instead of just like shoving half of the stuff over here while you work on that side, it's like because once it's empty, it really forces you to evaluate what are you going to put back in there.
And I'm going to teach everybody how to sing a Disney song. And I want everybody to repeat with me. It's from Frozen. It's called Let It Go.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, let
the
it
airworm
go.
of the decade. Yeah.
Let it go. Well, we bought this 10 years ago to do this project. You ain't going to do it. Let it go.
Yeah.
Stop.
Right.
Let it go. Well, we had all this poster board from when the kids were, let it go. Yes, somebody, and I got asked the other day, what do I do with the piano?
Oh.
And I went, well, one, I thought of you, Joe, immediately go, well, you could take an axe to it and turn it into a wall decoration.
Right.
The other one was.
Yeah, if you have a piano, you're not selling it. You're delusional. Just donate it.
Find a program.
Yeah.
Somebody wants this stuff.
Yeah.
Somebody can use this stuff. And goodness gracious, we all know the schools always need something.
Yeah.
If you've got those 20 years worth of school supplies, box them up and make a donation. There is an art program out there right now that wants your stuff.
That's a good point. Yeah.
That makes me think of when I graduated from college and everything, and I didn't need my language textbooks. I just donated them back to my university department.
Exactly.
There you go. Yeah.
So, I hate to sound kind of like I'm beating a drum here, but it really, honestly, I've been in like 3 of these projects in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
That just was, all right, the first one, there was kind of like some gnashing of teeth and pulling of hair. What do we got? Man, the other 2, I've been like, empty the room. Just yank everything out of it.
And no demolition, and you're not kicking
no
up
demo, but it makes such a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. I kind of like that.
Where the only thing demolished is your pride.
There you go. Boom. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis. Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from Allan Spices over at allanspices.com, and our pal Max over there behind the glass. You can call or text us at 901-683-0989. And also, if you go over to Tool Talk, at Tool Talk Radio over on Facebook, you can see the hack that I talked about before the break, the pegboard insert hack. Man, that thing works great, Allan. It's a $12 piece of metal that happened to be the exact perfect thing. It worked better than the template I was going to pay $40 for. So.
You got to love serendipity when it works out like that.
Yeah, it was pretty cool, man. So, and before the break, we were, Allan, the more you're talking about this no demo reno stuff and just basically renovations you can do to your home.
Yeah.
I would say painting is along those lines. A fresh coat of paint. That's not demo.
Fresh coat of paint, but
that's easy. But like gutting everything, adding a few little fixtures here and there, changing the whole layout of a room, that's renovation, man. And you're not making a mess.
It goes back, you and I have for a decade now talked about how important lighting is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the perfect time to change out a light fixture. It's the perfect time to get something in there that actually works.
Now, here's an interesting query for you. Is there any, like the idea of seasonal lighting, is there a way to make your lighting so versatile that it can be adjusted depending upon the mood of the season?
Now
to answer that question, the answer is now you can do it with a remote.
Actually, Max, that's a good point because it's one thing when the sun goes down at 5 in the afternoon versus when it goes at 8:30 at night.
Exactly.
Or when there's a lot of leaves on the trees and then there's not, depending on how much light comes into your house. I think that's actually a good point.
And there are now light fixtures, like, there can be on the ceiling. You now have a remote control that handles color, intensity, shade.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, pretty much it is carte blanche to whatever it is you would like to do. But I'm going to tell you, it's worth it to empty the room.
Oh, yeah.
Because
to me, that's the magic of everything.
Well, that's what breaks the spell of the room. Because now the couch isn't there. And you look at that room, and now your mind, you're kind of like a new house shopper at that point. You're like, wow, I had no idea that credenza that nobody ever uses took up that much of the room.
Yeah, now the room looks huge, and you're like, okay, I don't want to ruin it by cramming it full of garbage.
Now you start, now that sentimentality has a tendency to bite the dust, because now you're going, I'm greedy. I want this space to do this now. So no demo reno, one room at a time. You empty that room and be brutal, because it's your house. It's your comfort. Step in there and do what you want to do.
Yeah. And one last thing I'd say about that too is, like, if you're doing things, because I think when we hit a certain age, like you said, the kids all move out. And you're like, well, I'm gonna take this room, and this will be my arts and crafts room for once I have grandkids, and we'll come over and we'll all work on arts and crafts together. Well, that may never happen. Or you know what I mean? There's to me, having empty space, and then, or at least open space, and then whatever happens, then you adapt to it. You can't, I love that notion of life is what happens while we're making other plans. And stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, I really believe in that.
All right. Well, the quote of the week for me is for exactly that. A friend of mine is now a grandma, and she is indeed changing one of her rooms into an art studio for the little kids.
Yeah.
For the grandkids. And her crowning thought, her perfect phrase was, I got to put different kind of furniture in here because I forgot how short children are.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Well, hers grew up.
Yeah.
They became full-size adults. They're only little for a short period of time, and now she's got 3-foot-tall people in the room
Yep.
that don't really fit at the grown-up table to sit around and draw.
What I was also going to say, too, what I like about the idea of this no demo reno, too, is to reconsider your floor, with reconsidering your floor plan. I like the idea of having things that hug the wall rather than have too much going on in the center, because if you have too much going on in the center, it limits the possibilities. But if you have good stuff on the edges of your room and everything, I feel like it kind of makes things feel more open too.
Yeah. Allows the feng shui.
Well, 2 words there, proper storage.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's a good point. And I think I would probably do this approach for just about every area of the house, the garage, everywhere
Anything.
you go. Just
when you
empty it out and then be selective about what you put back in.
And it's amazing how it will change your house.
I'd say do this every 3 or 4 years, honestly.
Yeah.
Why not? Just because it's easy to see how time goes by really fast, especially, the older we get. So
it feels
why
that way,
live
doesn't
with
it?
clutter
Yeah.
and why live with stuff you don't need? And plus, like you said, you could donate it and give it to some other people that need it. So.
Move it on. Let somebody else enjoy it.
All right. Now, we're shifting gears here, you guys, and I don't even know what to we were talking about nice, sunshiny, happy things with Allan, but this is sort of, I'm just going to say, there's a reason we have building codes. Let's just say that out.
Yeah.
I sent you pictures, and I don't think I'm going to post these because there could be litigation involved in it. I mean, whatever. This is a legal thing. But basically, here's what it is. So I know we've all seen these. It's sort of a trendy thing with you see this in a lot of commercial properties, but you're starting to see this on homes. And so these are Allan, these metal awnings that they're and they look cool. They look really cool, and there's no supports underneath. They have support arms up on top. They're made of metal. Generally, they sit flat above somebody's front door or maybe even a garage. And then they have these 2 arms that attach into the house, and they look cool. I'm not going to deny it. I like the look. But if they're not installed correctly, these things can become incredibly dangerous. And I drove by.
They become ground.
I drove by. There was these townhomes. There was 9. I counted them. There was 9 townhomes with 9 awnings right here in East Memphis, right by my house. And so I drove by, and after the storm came through, 5 of them were laying on the ground, like they got ripped, literally just ripped out. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Three of them were laying on the ground. 2 of them came loose, and they're about to be
We're
on
dangling,
the ground.
yes.
Well, that's talk about a failure. And I'm like, when you're looking at it, all the weight, everything, all of the safety, you're putting your life you're trusting your life to 4 bolts, basically what it is. There's 2 bolts on each arm that hang in there. And I'm like, they weren't installed correctly. And somebody really dropped the ball here. This is thousands of dollars worth of damage. But if this would have fell on somebody, I don't know what would have happened, man. And there's a reason we have building codes.
Well, there is an entire rabbit hole on YouTube you can fall down called Bad Snow. And it is, well, they love showing you Hokkaido, Japan, which is the snowiest place on Earth.
Really?
And
is it because of elevation?
I have an anecdote which speaks to that. One of my senseis from like back in middle school or high school said they had a friend in Sapporo in Hokkaido, and they said that it was so cold that the toilet water froze, and they had to pour hot water into there just to get it thawed out.
Wow,
but
I wouldn't have thought.
But continue.
When you have like 8 feet of snow to get off the roof,
yeah,
it is amazing watching them how they do it. And then you begin switching over to how we are not very good at it.
Well, here in the Mid-South, we're not.
And, we just don't get a lot of practice. And now we suddenly had 6 inches of ice for 3 weeks. And a lot of stuff collapsed. A lot of stuff fell over. And the funny part I'm enjoying right now, going around all the different parking lots, is the massive amount of snow forts.
Yeah.
If you were a little kid and you were looking at a snowball fight, we have made you the snow fight nirvana in these parking lots. And that stuff is going to be melting for months.
Oh, those giant piles that
The
are 6
giant
feet tall.
piles of snow and ice are going to be there into March.
So it makes for good fortifications and ramparts, but not for good projectiles. Kind of deadly for snowball fights.
Yeah.
Okay, but Alan, getting back to the improperly installed awnings, the thing is that
weight. People don't understand how heavy that stuff is.
Yeah, but those things are built to handle. I mean, these things go
They
up
were
in
supposed
Chicago.
to be built to handle that.
This wasn't even that much snow that wound up in there. And I was just thinking, it really, we talk about there's no law against overbuilding, but there are laws against underbuilding. I mean, I don't know what kind of lawsuit you got here for this builder, but I mean, this is thousands of dollars worth of damage, and if it would have hit somebody, then we're talking a serious lawsuit.
The problem is in Chicago, they would have reinforced the support wall.
See, that's what I was wondering is who dropped the ball? It looks to me like they used the wrong bolts, or it just didn't. It did not look like these were installed properly, man.
Well, they looked like they were installed properly, but they weren't. Is the thing. There wasn't a load test where it had to hold up to 5,000 extra pounds.
Mm-hmm.
And people are kind of like, well, water doesn't weigh that much. Water's 8.5 pounds per gallon.
Water's about the heaviest thing you can.
And water and paper are 2 of the heaviest things you will ever have to deal with.
Well, these things look cool, but boy, folks, if you're going to install something like this, you got to really think it through and decide if you really want that. So, all right, well, hey, when we come back in great moments in building history, we are going to talk about a place that was built in the year 2500 BC.
Yeah, about 5,000 years ago.
Mohenjo Daro.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Now, this is the forklift. You need a license to operate this machine. That means the upstairs office workers can't drive it. Quiz, Mike, should you drive the forklift?
I can and I have.
No.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from Allan Spices over at allanspices.com, and our pal Max over there behind the glass. You can call or text us at 901-683-0989, especially if you've got nice stories about your neighbors, because today is Wave All Your Fingers at Your Neighbor's Day. Really weird branding, Allan, but I guess that sounds like some lawyer wrote that because they want to make sure They're don't wave one finger at your neighbor. So, but in a minute we're going to get to our great moments in building history. But while we were off mic, we were talking about something. Just maybe because I was sort of it really kind of did annoy me, Alan. I told you I drove by these brand new townhouses, and I was looking. These are. They said prices starting at $400,000 or something like. These are not little. These are nice places, and then 5 of the 4 of the 9 awnings that were up there basically fell off or were about to fall off. And we were talking. Maybe what happened was maybe the people that put these up, maybe they ordered these awnings and had never installed them before or something. Didn't realize, or maybe the wall wasn't reinforced or something. But man, just think of all contingencies. If you think, okay, well, this awning weighs 500, or this awning weighs 300 pounds, well, it's also going to weigh an additional 1,500 pounds once you pile snow on it or something. Or so, just think it through. That's all. But,
well, yeah, and the other thing is you've got to remember, how is it going to shed the material?
Yeah. Oh, good point. There's all sorts of odd,
is it going to pile up
shifting
there, or how is it going to come off? Where is the excess going to go?
What are the wind stresses going to do to it? What if this thing? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So anyway, all right. But I felt like it was important to mention. So, all right. Well, Max, let's do it, man.
And now, great moments in building history.
Actually, Max, you're the one that I never heard of this place till you. But I went down the rabbit hole on YouTube on this.
Let me give a little bit of exposition why I did this. When I was subbing on the Nation of Jake for Josh because he was snowed in, it so happened to be Thomas Crapper Day that day.
Oh, yeah.
And when I was going down the research hole of doing the plumbing excavation, they mentioned Mohenjo Daro in relation to the fact that it had superior plumbing for an ancient civilization.
Indoor they had bathrooms in their houses. Yeah, and 2500 BC.
Indoor toilets with really good sewer systems and everything.
Public baths. I mean,
Yep.
So it's situated right next to a river because there's well, anyway, let's get into that. But it's in India. What part of India? Oh, it's in Pakistan.
Although Pakistan used to be part of India, if I'm remembering my Indian history correctly.
Okay. You are correct. All right. So basically, we are looking at the Indus Valley. And you are looking at an ample water source. You're also looking at stone construction.
Yeah.
So this wasn't wood hinge.
This
was
bricks.
Stone. Right.
And
stone.
they're still standing.
Yep.
Yeah.
And, well, that is my first comment, is when we start talking about building materials, anything made out of rock is still with us.
I was thinking, could you imagine building something and going, yeah, what I built, this is going to still be here 4,500 years from now. I mean, that's pretty good.
When you're the contractor and you give somebody a 4,000-year warranty,
yeah,
you're doing pretty good.
So they knew their brickwork for sure.
That is your number one thing right there. So I mean, you're really going back to why. Today we have groups like the Masons, because stonework and carpentry work are basically civilization. If you're a stone cutter is one of the most important people you could possibly know in these days.
Yeah. Yep.
So they go and they build this place. The thing that really strikes you immediately is the fact that they understood gravity fed.
With water, you mean?
Water flows from up to down.
Yeah.
And they built an entire city so that water came in kind of up here at the top and went back into the river down at the bottom.
Yeah.
So you're before GPS, before lasers, before anything, and they understood half-degree grading.
Yeah. We should say, too,
this is stunning.
This is a place that they estimate about 40,000 people live there. So
It
this
was
is a
about-
pretty good sized community.
And it's about 5 times the size of Vatican City, which is pretty big for back in the day because it's about 500 acres with about a 3-mile circumference and everything in terms of like the width, like in terms of like the span of the city. That's pretty impressive for its time.
Yeah, because they said so. But Mohenjo Daro, what does it mean? Valley of
Mound of the Dead. But that's the name that was given to it. That's not necessarily the name that it had.
Yeah, because
they don't know what it's called.
They found some bodies in there. I mean, you can go. Okay, this is one of the fun things when you go down the rabbit hole. They're like, okay, you're going to find all these conspiracy things of, is this, was there a nuclear war or something like that? Because they found some skeletons that had high radiation levels, which I think that's kind of silly. But it looks like all those bodies that they found were people that came there like 1,000 years after this place was abandoned.
Because there was only like, in terms of like mass annihilation, it's kind of improbable because of the fact that there's only like maybe 40 bodies found.
Yeah. So I wouldn't, we're not going to get sidetracked on that, but it is interesting that he named it that. So, but to me, it's a pretty interesting, I mean, it looks like great construction work, whoever was doing the brickwork especially.
Because it was also really good city planning as well, because it was the houses were all laid out like very straight and everything. Like there wasn't really a lot of like deviation, like a good deal of geometry and drainage, and there was also areas that had impact as well. Like there was this place called the Great Bath where it might have been ceremonial, it might have been for mass water storage, or because you're kind of thing about archaeology is you're kind of having to make stories up based on the ancient trash.
Yeah, I mean it was basically like the public swimming pool. It looks like so.
Well. Yeah, and the one thing that everybody immediately notices about this is the fact that because it had so much water available to it.
Yeah.
And that's it's hard for the modern person to really grasp not having to go walk down to the river and get water.
Yeah, bingo.
We turn on a tap, we get in the shower, we get, we don't value water the way basically in a semi-desert community you would value water. So the fact that they actually had water moving through the town meant you didn't have to spend half your day going and getting it.
Yeah.
And I want to add water moving through the town predating Rome by like 2,500 years, because Rome was known for its baths and for its aqueducts, but that wouldn't come till like way later. The part of me thinks like I really admire like some of like the Middle Eastern, like ancient Middle Eastern like innovations that you get. The fact that they capture the air for ancient air conditioning, and it makes me think it's probably because of necessity is the mother of invention.
Well, I was thinking about that too, Matt, because this place is actually reminding me a lot of ancient Egypt, because when we look at Egypt today, we see sand and we see a lot, but they were farmers back then. They would irrigate. They were very good at getting the water moved into inland to be able to irrigate their crops and everything. And I have to believe Mohenjo Daro probably had the same type of thing, because you can't just live in a city with no food or anything. So they probably had the same type of advanced irrigation system that the Egyptians had, I'm thinking.
Well, it would make sense that they did. But the other thing is, because you had flowing water, you did not have stagnant water. You had moving water through your city, meant you were constantly refreshing your city. You didn't have modern problems, because when you have 40,000 people, that's 40,000 people's worth of waste.
Yeah.
Well,
so you want to send it downriver.
You don't want to live with your waste. You want nature to take care of things. So the fact that they had different waterways for different purposes, the fact that they accomplished so much is a great lesson today that we're literally still relearning.
Yeah.
Because it is, Memphis is a great example, because we were one of the very first cities to ever have a sewer system. Memphis was basically a swamp at one point. We were the home of yellow fever, So the lessons from literally 5,000 years ago are still being applied today.
Yeah.
And that is amazing.
And lots of great craftsmanship there in the city of Mohenjo Daro. We'll continue to talk about that when we come back here on Tool Talk Radio.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
'Tis but a scratch. A scratch? Your arm's off.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from Allan's Spices over at allanspices.com, and our pal Max over there behind the glass. You can call or text us at 901-683-0989. And just a reminder, next week, we hope you'll come by the home show of the Mid-South over at the Agri Center. We're there every year, and we'll have the Tool Talk Radio booth set up. And in this year, Allan will have his spices.
He will indeed.
Pretty good selection, I hope. So.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
New stuff. We're actually going to be introducing some new stuff.
You can, and you let people sample these things.
We do.
Okay, so you can check that out. And also, if you can't wait till next week, head over to the Painted Tree.
Yep, booth B20. They can go pre-purchase.
And also go to Allan's Spices, ALLANS Spices.com, and you do that.
Two L's, two A's.
Okay, cool. Okay, before the break, in our Great Moments in Building History, we're talking about Mohenjo Daro, and it was built in 2500 BC. So this is an old place. And basically what happened was archaeologists about 100 years ago, it was the 1920s, they saw sort of this mound. It was a pretty big mound, and they started investigating, and it's near a river in India. Well, it's not India anymore, right? It was
right.
Okay,
it's
but
the Indus
at the
Valley.
time. At the time it was built, it was considered part of India, and started digging, and lo and behold, they found a 500-acre settlement here that housed 40,000 people, still intact. I mean, once they dug it out, the bricks and everything were intact, but obviously it was flooded out at some point and covered in sediment in that. But what we were talking about is going back in time to when they actually built this place. Well, this city thrived for about 800 years. And it's interesting when you look, because we're really marveling at their water management. I mean, they had indoor bathrooms in their house. That was unheard of. I mean, and they were very good at moving water. What's also interesting is when you look at some of the things they found, they found bronze statues, and they found artwork, and they found hieroglyphs that shows their language that nobody's been able to translate. But what you don't see on there, like, if you look up Egyptian ruins, you see battles, and you see fighting, and you see armies, and you see that. You didn't see any of that. You see dancing ladies, you see some guy with a beard, you see a picture of a butterfly or whatever, but it's like, it seems to me that they weren't much of a warlike people. It seems to me that water management allowed them to have a pretty comfortable life. And that's we talk about that. Water management is what built civilization.
And they were also very deliberate with the simple things in their structures. I was just reading the fact that even down to like the walls and everything were built to last, because they said the walls were plastered with mud to reduce the effects of the salts that were contained in the bricks, because the salts would have reacted negatively or destructively from varying heat or humidity.
Yeah. I don't know what what did they make their brick out of? Because, I mean, how do you make brick that's still standing 4,500 years later?
Well, it's an adobe brick. I mean, so long as, water is your enemy. So long as you are moving water and controlling water, water is your friend.
Yeah.
But let's take it a step further than that. Not only did they have the ability to get water in, they had the ability to get water out. They did this on a relatively low grade. We pick on the Romans. I think
that's where they went wrong, though, on a low grade, because I think this place got flooded at some point.
Well, no, actually, probably the river wandered off is more like it. Rivers change channels.
You think the river, it was a drought?
I think your river wandered away.
Well, at some point it got buried. So I
want to talk about the grocery store.
Okay.
Because not only do you have people, if you've got a lot of people, you got water, you got to have food.
Yeah.
The biggest thing they had going on were grains. So you were talking about the wastewater, what happened to it. Well, when you got it out the backside of the city, that suddenly became where your agriculture kicked in.
Right.
So welcome to early recycling Welcome to your what you would call it a biome. Today, back then they called it we're growing lunch.
Well, I was about to say the nice way to put it, because if you watch that movie, The Martian, that was a great movie. Well, he had to use something for fertilizer.
Yes,
I think
he did.
Know what we're
and he used fertilizer.
If you took sewage water, we don't want that around, but I'll tell you, plants love it and the soil loves it. So I bet you they had a way to incorporate that into their irrigation system.
Well, they had that moved out into the marsh below the city before it went back into the river, and then they used that water to out on the crops.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of we're just now rediscovering, the biome of your gut and the biome of this, that, and the other. Natural biomes take care of the world and keep things running.
What is a biome?
That is the flora and fauna of the microscopic world.
Okay, well, that's important to mention. Yeah.
That is why you buy probiotics. Probiotics is you're eating living things that are going to live in you.
I got a question. So we know that they got their drinking water from wells, but also, so the other thing to mention here is the climate is pretty comfortable. Like it's in the summer, it's warm, but whatever. They've dealt with that. I think the way their housing was, it kept it a little cooler, but also they had and so the winters weren't brutal either. It was just basically a pretty pleasant climate, but they did get these monsoons. And when I was looking at the grid of the way the city's laid out, they had huge water. It looked like a lot of water storage and everything. But now, to me, rainwater would be a pretty great water to collect. It seems to me they had the ability to collect a lot of that water, right? I mean,
well, they had the ability to shed the excess when they had an excess, and the ability to store water when they did not have an excess. And what is theorized ultimately happened to the city was that it wasn't taken over, it wasn't razed to the ground, but we think nature just kind of moved away from the city because rivers change their banks. Rivers move and wander, and they silt in, and they go somewhere else.
So you think it droughted them out, and then they moved out? Because the city got abandoned at some point.
Yeah. Go ahead.
It's important to note because we were talking about Mohenjo Daro. It's important to note because maybe, there was another city that was discovered around this time that's believed to be just as old, called Harappa, in the same area. It's actually a little bit to the northeast of Mohenjo Daro. So maybe Harappa was either the older city and people moved down to Mohenjo Daro after the river was redirected, or vice versa.
Yeah, something happened. I mean, I could see, too. I mean, like I said, from what we can see, I don't know, they didn't find a bunch of weapons and chariots, and these seem like a pretty peaceful people. Well, unfortunately, people like that can be conquered and taken off into
they can
captivity. So,
but I think you're going to need more trade routes and natural weather.
Yeah.
Because we've discovered that, a lot of the takeovers and wars and stuff that we've studied all throughout the world, you almost always find an environmental trigger.
Well, that's a good point. A drought makes a lot of sense now, because if your city is built with an infrastructure dependent on this water source, and suddenly it's not there, that would pretty much.
So, to tie this into the modern world, welcome to city planning.
Yep.
This is and I want to say a little bit about city planning with Memphis right now. We just had a lot of water.
Yeah.
We just had a lot of water. Admittedly, it didn't go away for about 3 weeks, but as it's melted, your house didn't flood out. Memphis has a well-designed drainage system. Now, we're not designed in Memphis to hoard water because of where we're located in the world. We're on a very big river. We have artesian wells, and we get a pretty fair amount of rain.
That's what I was going to say is, how do we utilize our river effectively? Because, the Indus River is obviously going to be smaller than the Mississippi River. So, but Mohenjo Daro managed to utilize removing stuff effectively via the river. So how do we do that with our river?
I mean, we also have an aqueduct that's second to none, too. But
aquifer.
aquifer, but We use the river, right, Allan?
Oh, we do. We do. As a matter of fact, Memphis has actually got a pretty good reputation in the last 20, 30 years of being friendly to the river, making sure our river is healthy. We are actually a full port.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of analogies from the Indus Valley because, these people had water culture, water trade. You think about the boats coming and going, they had a port.
Right.
Memphis, in many ways, we deal with a lot of water. We have a couple of rivers that run right through town besides the Mississippi River.
Right.
A lot of people kind of forget that we have a lot of rivers and creeks that we kind of drive around and don't really notice, but Memphis has an amazing amount of water containment and basically water manipulation throughout the city.
It's interesting, too, because sometimes, like you said, like a crisis can motivate you to fix broken systems or to innovate. And, I mean, we did have the yellow fever back in our history, which is a good motivation to have a advanced sewer system. I didn't realize, though, that until I started hosting the show with you, that Memphis was one of the first to have a good sewer system.
Right behind New York.
Yeah. Pretty impressive, man.
That is an amazing feat. And, and I will say another couple of good things about our public works departments. We really didn't have that many bad problems for the last 3 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we froze in. We had a lot of ice and snow, but honestly,
no,
it could have been so much worse.
Absolutely. So, all right, but good stuff. And I would encourage you, go down the rabbit hole, check out Mohenjo Daro. Mohenjo and then Daru. Bill, it's a very interesting study. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Oh, look, John, it's red pine. They were going to put flecked linoleum over this beautifully preserved knotty red pine. Most people in this world, John, are
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from Allan Spices over at allanspices.com, and our pal Max over there behind the glass. There's just enough time for a quick phone call or text over at 901-683-0989. And I should say, too, Allan, I didn't mention this earlier, but there's probably people that maybe they're new to Tool Talk Radio. Maybe they literally just discovered us today, and they turned on the radio late, and they're like, gosh, I wish I could have heard what was going on earlier in the show, and they're probably just really mad at themselves that they missed it. But there's hope for people in that situation, right?
There is indeed. It's the wonderful world of podcasting. All they got to do is pop over to tooltalkradio.com, and they can, oh my gosh, follow along with, honestly, years and years of content. We are a featured podcast on both YouTube and Spotify. You can find us anywhere any of your Cumulus Radio programs are produced and distributed. So pop again over to tooltalkradio.com. Like us and, leave us a comment. Give us a like. Share us with your friends. By the way, we make amazing background motivational things to keep you working on those projects.
Yeah. No, it is good for getting in the mood for home improvement, especially a no demo reno like we talked about earlier. So, and also one more reminder that next week we'll be over at the Agri Center, February 13th through 15th for the home show of the Mid-South. And Allan will have Allan Spices laid out in they're probably going to go fast. I hope you're bringing...
I'm going to bring what I can.
Okay, because those things are great. They're all made here in Memphis. It's a Memphis original product.
It is
conceived and made here, and because your kitchen is probably smelling pretty spicy.
I got news, just transporting stuff around. My truck has never smelled better.
Okay, so yeah, and it's good stuff, and we've been using it at our house regularly. So I used some yesterday. Some
awesome.
Tuna and broccoli. But, hey, before the break, we were talking about this. I should spell it one more time because it's called Mohenjo Daro, but the way it's spelled is Mohenjo, and then the second word is Daru.
Oh.
Huh?
Daro.
Oh, no wonder I couldn't Google. Okay, whatever. But it's a really fascinating culture. And one of the things we were reflecting on is the similarities we have between Memphis and Mohenjo Daro. But it's a city on a river. It housed about 40,000 people in the year 2500 BC. So this is a pretty advanced. And it seems to me that their whole culture revolved around excellent water management, and it allowed them to have time to make art and to, live a life and not be, I don't know. To me, it just shows that water management is the foundation for civilization.
And it makes me wonder if civilizations were kind of limited on where they can inhabit because, like California gets its water from the Colorado River and everything. You wonder if back in the days with there was probably wars on resources because you probably hugged the rivers or you hugged the sea. And so you wonder if a lot of civilization occurred like in limited scopes, or limited areas. And
sure.
So I just think it's kind of interesting.
And it probably mattered if you were downriver or upriver, right, Allan? I wouldn't want to be downriver from 40,000 people, but
well, I got news for you. Florida and Georgia are still fighting over that exact reason.
Right.
Yeah.
But when you come up with innovative ways of dealing with it, because I don't know what the plumbing situation was at 2500 BC everywhere else in the world, but I bet they didn't have indoor bathrooms.
I think the words were ain't none.
Okay. But anyway, I would highly recommend going down the rabbit hole on these. And there's plenty of weird conspiracies about this place, too. I personally don't think they had a nuclear war back, 4,500 years ago. I think that's a little absurd. But I am curious, Allan, why would they be exposed to more radiation? Was it just strictly sun? I mean, could sun... If it's intensive, I don't know. I'm wondering why they had these high radiation levels there.
Well, guess where we get radioactive material? We get it from the earth.
So do you think some of that stuff could have washed in there?
I think you could very easily have a uranium deposit somewhere or a radioactive material available. You could have iridium, which pops up in very strange places because it generally came from outer space. The meteorite strikes.
Could a meteorite hit and make...
Well, and a million years later, you have this lovely crater which has this beautiful water supply in it, and you move in, and, if you were to go walk through the jungles of Chernobyl right now, unless somebody told you there had been a nuclear disaster, you wouldn't know.
Yeah, because
radiation is not visible. It's not something that you would just run into. So it is entirely possible that there are natural sources because these people were mining. They were refining minerals. So they had a whole...
They had bronze.
They had copper. They had bronze. They had artwork. So it is entirely possible that they could have had a source of radioactive material in conjunction with our metallurgy.
Would that affect you? You've heard of radiation sickness and stuff.
Yeah.
Is it enough to make the population sick and move out, or?
Well, you would call it a curse because you wouldn't understand where it came from.
Right.
The expression "mad as a hatter" leaps to mind because mercury was used to make hats, and what we didn't know at the time was mercury also ate your brain.
See, that's
like Ivan the Terrible.
Yeah, because I'm still trying to figure out why they left, but I could see that, or I don't know. There's something there.
This place existed almost 1,000 years, and in that 1,000 years, again, rivers wander, weather changes.
Yeah.
Of the fact that you had 40,000 people living in this one area could have depleted the resources.
Well, that's true. Maybe the crops couldn't keep up with what they...
you finally mined out enough of the available copper, so the way of making a living may have changed. Trade routes could have changed. Somebody opened up a new trade route, and you became an off-ramp to
Just
the
like
ancient...
in the movie Cars.
Yeah, you became an off-ramp. You became Silver Springs. You're kind of forgotten out there. So there's so much that happens over time. And we love to think that something dramatic had to happen.
Yeah.
And for the most of the world and for most small cities and that kind of stuff, just time moved on past you or you depleted a resource And if you go through the western United States today, we have plenty of ghost towns that were once huge, bustling metropolises because of whatever the product was that made them great.
Well, right over here in East Memphis, every day I drive past the Oak Court Mall, which is being demolished right now. Malls used to be the hot spot
And now
of a community,
they're
and now
kinda
they're ghost
big,
towns.
empty places. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe tastes just changed. Maybe there was another community not far from Mohenjo Daro that became the hot place to move.
They admitted their lifestyle.
Yeah.
It happens. It happens. So it doesn't have to be a nuclear war or aliens.
Yeah. No, it's
It
interesting
can be
stuff, though.
old-fashioned, boring stuff.
It's interesting to learn about the community. I don't know. I find all that stuff fascinating. So just that, and it always translates too back to your home. Just the way you're.
Yeah.
I don't know. I hate to say it, but the whole admitting your lifestyle thing really plays a role in all of this.
It does. It does. Like you said, tastes change, things grow up. So my advocation here at the end of our show is walk around your house with an idea towards the no demo reno and think about what do you want to change this spring.
Yeah, pretty good stuff, man.
Come talk to us next weekend, and we'll talk to you about it too.
Yeah, one last reminder. We're going to be at the home show of the Mid-South at the Agri Center, February 13th through 15th. It's a great event, too. I mean, it's a fun way to, if you've got ideas for your home, or if maybe you're at the point where you're ready to do a home project, it's a great place to meet contractors and then come by the booth and talk to Allan and I.
Absolutely.
All right, but it's time to go, you guys. So it's been another action-packed episode of Tool Talk Radio, but it's in the can. So until next week, on behalf of my buddy Allan Gilbreth and our pal Max over there behind the glass, I'm Joe Thorderson. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Now go wave to your neighbor.